The Prophet ﷺ, he mentions, and the Quran bears testimony to this as well, that he ﷺ mentions that he passed through pure loins, to pure wombs. What does that mean? It means that in the direct ascendants of the Prophet ﷺ, all of them were believers. None of them were idol worshippers, none of them were kafir, none of them were mushrik. All of the direct ascendants of the Prophet ﷺ were believers. They were all pure. The Prophet ﷺ mentions regarding his own lineage, he says that in his own lineage everyone had nikah. Nobody was born out of wedlock. The Prophet ﷺ mentions his pure lineage, and then the Quran bears testimony. The Quran says, وَتَقَلُّبَكَ فِي السَّاجِدِينَ, that we've witnessed your passing through those who prostrate. Who are those who prostrate? The believers. So what we find from this is that from Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam to Sayyiduna Ismail alayhi salam and onwards, all the way to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam being born in the tribe of Quraysh in the lands of Makkah, he passed through believers. And this is quite an important point. This is quite an important point, because there are people in our times who al-iyadhu billah will tell you that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his ancestors weren't all Muslims. Some of them go so far as to say that the parents of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam weren't Muslims. Allah Ta'ala protect us from such beliefs. Understand that the Prophet ﷺ, his parents were believers, and all of his direct ancestors were believers as well. Now know what I'm saying here. Direct ancestors. So father, grandfather, great-grandfather, these are direct ancestors. We're not talking about uncles. We're not talking about second place relatives in that sense. Direct ancestors were all believers. Otherwise, of course, we know that, for example, Abu Jahl, one of the uncles of the Prophet ﷺ, all these enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, you have others as well who amongst the family of the Prophet ﷺ, but they weren't granted iman. So direct ascendants, of course, they were believers, but indirect ascendants, potentially there could have been disbelief amongst them. But that doesn't take anything away from the beauty of the Prophet ﷺ. So when the Prophet ﷺ was born in the lands of Makkah, he stays there, he's born there. At the time of his birth, he's already an orphan. How so? Because the Prophet ﷺ, whilst Sayyidah Amina was pregnant, Hazrat Abdullah, the father of the Prophet ﷺ, has passed away. He's passed away. When the Prophet ﷺ is born, he's born into the care of his mother and his grandfather, Sayyiduna Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather. His grandfather cares for him, and for many years they continue caring for him. And then when the Prophet ﷺ reaches around the age of 6 years, his mother passes away as well. I just picture that for a moment.